Console Corner is brought to you by and created by Bluball 1993, with special thanks to our contributors Garcia, GC2MT, Josh Carbon, Hi-Res, Phazion, Onilight, and many others. If you'd like to be a contributor and a more prominent supporter of Console Corner, be sure to visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Bluball. That's patreon.com/BLUBALL. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of the Console Corner podcast. As always, I'm Bluball 1993. Today, I have with me two big Xbox guys. Been on the platform for a while. Been playing Paladins for a while as well. Between the both of them, from Xbox EU, we have Fluxy today, and from the Xbox NA side of things, we have Stiles, and we're going to be talking about some Xbox Paladins in general as a history, team turnout, some big names on the Xbox side of things, and what we would like to and what we think will be the future of Xbox Paladins. Stiles, Fluxy, how you guys doing today?
Doing good, man. How about you, man?
I'm doing good. Stiles, how you doing?
Doing awesome, dude.
Okay.
I'm good too.
First off, let's start off with the most recent tournament that just happened. It was week 1 of PCL qualifiers, open bracket. I know when I opened the bracket at the start of the tournament on the NA side of things, I saw this team name XX Vampire Lord 64, and I said, Jesus, that's a bunch of retards. Some idiot probably put their gamer tag as their team name, but Stiles, that's your team, and you guys actually beat Onslaught in the finals. I think it was a 2-1.
Yeah.
What is that name?
All right. So at first, I mean, we wanted to come up with something that's not too serious, right? So like we all talked about it, and we thought about Vampire Lord. He's known as a low-key main in the Smite community, and like everyone used to like hate him because he backdoors your Loki, and you're like, you know what? Let's make it Vampire Lord 64. Let's pay homage to his name. Basically, that's it. He's a close friend of mine too. He's now Yuna Misaki. I don't know if you know. That's him.
What's his name?
His gamer tag on Xbox is Yuna Misaki. He changed it to Vanfix now, but that's Vampire Lord.
Oh, okay. So you guys are kind of like memeing it.
Memeing it, yeah. We're going, yeah. It's definitely a meme.
Okay.
About it.
We'll talk about your roster here in a little bit as well. Fairly new roster, a bunch of veteran players though, and there was some drama, kind of leading up to before the day of the tournament with your roster as well. We'll talk about that for a short period. Fluxy, how you feeling today?
Yeah, I'm feeling good, man.
Fluxy, who are you playing for right now? I heard you were subbing for someone or something like that.
I'm playing for Bulldogs as a flex player. They've picked me up, and Forever Alice has dropped to sub for the time being.
Oh, okay. So you're coming in as the flex role, and Forever Alice, the tank, who's actually married to Duffman Rules, isn't she?
Yes, and Duffman's changed his name to Cypher now, so he'll kill me if I don't mention that. He doesn't want to be known as Duffman Rules anymore.
He doesn't want to be known as Duffman Rules. Every time I think of that name, I just think of, I don't know where he got that name from, or if that's his real name or anything like that. But every time I hear of Duffman Rules, I just think of Duff Beer from The Simpsons.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was from. Actually, he lost a bet. Him and his friend had a bet going on, and whoever lost had to change their name to, like, not a horrible name, but just an unfortunate name, and he lost the bet, and it finally expired so that he could change his name to whatever he wanted.
There was a time limit on this bet.
Yeah, I think it was 5 years or something ridiculous. He's
5 years?
5 years for this bet. It was something like getting first to 10,000 kills on, I can't remember what game it was. I remember he told me before, but he lost, and he had to have his gamer tag changed for 5 years.
Stiles, you want to make a name change bet?
You know, actually, talk about that. I've always wanted to change my gamer tag because no one ever calls me by my gamer tag ever.
Okay, so
They
what?
always call me by my first name, and then like my gamer, I like my gamer tag. People like my gamer tag, but I'm never called by my gamer tag.
What's your first name?
Marvin. Everyone calls me Marvin. Dude, I literally made a new team, and I'm already getting called Marvin instead of Stiles.
I'd rather call you Stiles.
And you're literally the only one. It's like a curse.
No, it's maybe because I didn't know your name this whole time.
Yeah.
All right, so moving forward with Fluxy and Marvin here, I wanted to dive into Xbox and kind of right off the bat, what Fluxy especially because you're in the EU side of things. What is the problem? Why do you think there's a problem with getting people to play Paladins competitively in that region on the Xbox? Or why is there such a big problem with the amount of teams that show up?
I think it actually comes down to there's not much trust between players in EU. I feel like a lot of teams will create a team, stick out for one tournament, then either split or another team's going to come in and snake a player, and that's something that's been happening a lot recently, which then leaves a sour taste in people's mouths. And then it's gotten to the stage now where some players have no options for teams because they outright refuse to team with some players because of some past mistakes. It's just a bit of a weak mentality, but it's getting better. Like before, you'd have seen some tournaments where EU would struggle to get 4-3 teams, even had some cancellations.
I remember there being a week of PCS where 3 teams showed up.
On the EU, right? Because that never happened.
Hey, I got third seed that week. Let's not diss.
Third seed's last seed that week.
Hey, that's third seed. I'm taking it. No, but it's getting better. I'm seeing a lot more like variation in teams, but there's not much loyalty in the teams that are being created. The teams are changing week in, week out, and that's from the top down. It used to be that there'd be 1 or 2 or 3 teams that would sort of stick together and grind. For instance, Vexed, who have stayed so far ahead of the competition purely because they got so comfortable with each other and they were constantly grinding together, and no one else could catch them up because they were changing teams every 10 seconds.
I've got something to say about that. I don't know. I just think Vexed is like mechanically better than everyone, and I think they have a better work habit. I think that's what it comes down to. If you really look at the Vexed roster, going back to when they were ever since they became Vexed, or going back to when they were Gangstars, or going back to when they were Grumpy Boys. I mean, they've really only kept 3 original people from that roster. It was World, Welsh, and Narc. I think those 3 are the core, and they work so well together. They've been with each other for such a long time. I think that is the key to their success. They've had Kizza, they've had Slop, they've had Luke, they've had Trank, they've had Blokely, they've had Eights, they've had Lexi now. They've brought in some new people. They have Yui, they have Swiper. From what I've heard, Lexi's gone. From what I heard, Luke is gone. From what I heard, Trank left on his own. Blokely doesn't play the game. Eights is not a very popular guy among the community.
Eights quits every day, dude.
Kizza started his own team. I mean, there's been a lot of people that have played for this lineup that have been part of that, family. I just feel that Welsh, World, and Narc are the key success to that. They've brought in different guys. They've made different lineups. They've had different subs. They've had unfortunate events at LANs having to bring different subs. So I think that those 3 guys are the reason for their success. I think those 3 guys are the reason why they've been performing so well in the Xbox EU region. Although not having many teams show up definitely helps. You don't have a long day. The only thing that I can think of that could be a bad thing for Vexed or that team is, you try to prepare for a team to face in the finals. I'm pretty sure Onslaught is going to be worried about Vampire Lord now, so they're preparing to face Vampire Lord. Elevate is preparing to face Oni Channers. Flashpoint
What a great name.
Flashpoint, they will prepare to face the Midnight Oligarchs. Now they should be also preparing to face the YCTG team who beat them in the finals of the first week. But you see what I mean? In the Xbox EU region, there's really not that team for Vex to prepare themselves for, because the teams are changing too often. The teams are changing every week, every couple days. And a guy, Spectre One Up, talked to me the other day. I was asking for rosters. Hey, can people give me their rosters? Spectre gives me a roster on day 2. On day 3, he messaged me and says, you can forget that roster. And I asked him what happened. He said, there's no loyalty in this region, in this game, amongst these players of this community. This person was supposed to be on my team. Now they're on this team. This person said they were going to join us, but they left with that person and they joined this other team, and things like that. So, it's tough when you talk about loyalty, but it's a video game, and not a lot of people understand that. I've had this discussion dozens of times, and you guys have probably seen people, heard people, or know people that have done this. Back in the day when I played on a PS4 team, there was people. I'll just tell you the story. It was Ralkion and the Muffin Man. Are you familiar with those guys? Any of you?
Yeah, I've heard of that.
I should be. Yeah.
So Ralkion, I thought, was the greatest support in the PS4 NA, at the time, and I wanted him on my team. So I was saying, we need to go and get this guy, Ralkion. We need him to be on our team. So I started talking to him, some messages. And don't get me wrong, the Muffin Man is a great player. At that time, he wasn't as developed as he was further into his career before he left the game. And they were a package deal. Well, I told them straight up, I don't want the Muffin Man. I don't want Muffin. I want Ralkion. I have one roster spot, and it's for Ralkion. So, I just kept talking to him. And we were a pretty good team at that time. So there was actual talks going on amongst us. And, I took a break from Paladins for a week for my Italian festival. It was around that time, July last year. And I come back, and my team had decided that I should be benched and that we should pick up both of them, and our one DPS player would move to frontline. So I would be benched as the frontline. We'd move one of our DPSs to the position where I was, and then we would bring in Muffin Man to play DPS and Ralkion to be the support. And I said, that's not what I want to do. That's not what we need to do. We need Ralkion. If we don't get Ralkion, then we search for someone else. So unfortunately, that team didn't work out. But 3 of us from that team, the 3 who were not in on the fucking let's fuck over Bluball idea, came with me. We started our team and we finished 4th again for the HRX qualifiers. So that I kind of understand how it is, but the moral of the story is a lot of people want to play with their friends. So that loyalty in this video game and in this pro gaming community kind of gets jumbled into the I want to play with my friends mentality. And I've told people thousands of times on my stream, in person, in party chats, what is more important to you? And I know I may seem like a douche for the answer that I chose, but what is more important than you? Playing with your friends or playing with a team that is going to win money?
That's happening everywhere. I feel like in the NA too. There's packages all like shoe and whoosh.
No, I'm not saying there isn't. There is packages everywhere, and I understand that.
Yeah, I mean it depends. Like if you feel like you really could win with that friend, or to the point where your friend you just want to play for fun, it's like that's where it gets confusing for me.
I mean, look at Wonderful. I mean, I know he probably loves playing with Skep. He probably loves playing with Miracle, Matt, whoever he loves playing with. But if you look at it, he's been to every single LAN so far. He's been in the finals of every single LAN. He's won 3 out of those 4 LANs. He came in second in the one that he didn't win. I mean, he is legitimately making money playing Paladins. Serious money.
I think I've done the estimates. Wonderful has at least made like around 20K playing Paladins overall.
Exactly. And if someone else would realize this, okay, who's Wonderful's duo? He may have a duo. Is his duo on his team? Is his duo on his team every time? No. That man wants to win money. He wants to be the best at a video game, and he wants to publicly display that he is the best, which means he puts himself in a position to publicly display what he wants to do, and it's be the best. So I mean,
that's exactly what Vex are doing now as well, which is why they're making these team changes. I think they've realized that they can dominate Europe, playing with their friends, playing with the players they sort of stuck with. But if they want to bring it to NA,
what happened to Harvey?
they need to make changes.
Harvey apparently doesn't.
Harvey doesn't like him.
Flashpoint,
right?
Yeah, Harvey doesn't like him, so he went to Flashpoint. Yeah, Harvey is on PS4 with Flashpoint now.
Is he a sub though, or is he like on the main?
He's on main roster.
Swiper.
So he replaced who?
He was playing in place of Op in week 1, but Op had to work, so I don't know if that's gonna be.
Yeah, he's most likely. I think Op is their tank player, right? He's a good tank.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think Orp is now sub, which he was when Swiper was there, and Harvey's jumped straight into main roster instead of Swiper.
Op has been the sub numerous times for that team.
Hey man, has done him good.
But you know what? So. Stiles, what do you think the problem with Xbox NA is? You know, we'll talk about the problems first, then we'll talk about possible solutions or our ideas to, moving forward. What's the problem with Xbox NA? You know, I've assumed that most people on Xbox NA don't have teams for one of 2 reasons. One being they all transferred to PS4 for the easy wins, or 2, you know, only one team gets to go to LAN. They've been the most vocal about that being a problem, so they just don't play.
Right.
What is that the problem, or is there deeper?
I think it's deeper than that. I think it's simple. A lot of people don't think they can beat Onslaught, right? A lot of people don't think they could make LAN, and people feel like they'd be wasting their time just to get that. They'd be wasting their time because they don't want to grind. They don't see themselves winning even if they grind. But that mentality, you shouldn't beating, in my opinion, right? But like, I think it happens a lot with teams where, especially it happened for me since I was a free agent and I was making a team. It was hard finding people like-minded mindset where they want to grind and then they know they can win. They want to win again, right? It's impossible to find players like that, especially in a community where just move to PS4. It's easier to beat and go to LAN and get like higher placings and win that way. But I see it as I respect everyone on Elevate, and I respect like they're one of my best friends, but I feel like that team has potential to be one of the best teams. I feel like we have potential. Onslaught, Vex, we all have potential, but it all comes down to who wants it more and who grinds actually and finds the solution. Because I think this meta is more towards who wins drafts, because right now one team clearly outdrafts the other simply because there is a triple DPS and there's blasters, and those blasters control the meta. So right now, in my opinion, every team is like mechanically skilled, at least at the top. It all comes down to drafting. I feel like that's why we beat Onslaught. It's not because we were the better team at that time. I feel like we just outdrafted them.
So speaking about the Xbox players that went to PS4, you know, it was like when it first happened, it was like revolutionary. You know, it's like
right.
Oh,
it was when Shu left, right? It was Shu, Skeppy. I feel like me and Wonderful are the only ones who haven't moved. Oh, Transic and Miracle, and that been like to like early HRX. I think we are the only ones who haven't moved.
Yeah.
To PS4.
It was revolutionary because the Valencia qualifiers showed that PS4 NA was just
easy,
super weak at the time, and you know, they had 2 subs on that roster for Invigorate. There was a big debacle and a big mess about DDoSing and stuff like that. And we've talked about that dozens of times. But they seemed like it was the weakest of the four qualifying spots. And, if you watch the qualifiers finals for Xbox throughout that entire console wars, it was just neck and neck with STDX and Ambition, or Strictly Business, as they were soon to be called. So they felt that more Xbox teams deserve to qualify, so they transferred in order so that and it would be 2 Xbox teams at LAN. I don't know really what happened to Set to Destroy X. Obviously, you and the rest of Elevate are the ones who qualified for Xbox NA that year, or for HRX. And it was interesting to see. I thought Wonderful was going to come with them to PS4. I thought the team was going to stick together, but
I'm pretty sure he was going to, until he found a spot on our team.
What were you guys called before you signed it with Elevate again?
Or Erased.
Yes, Erased. That was when you were Erased. Okay. So yeah, I mean, what's your opinion on these guys that are transferring to PS4 now?
I mean, I feel like a lot of teams want to go to LAN and want. I understand. I would do the same thing.
You're cutting out for a second. Stiles?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, you cut out there for.
Alright, sorry. Well, I feel like these teams want to go to LAN. Any team. I would guarantee you Onslaught would move if they would feel like they have to. They don't have that much of a chance, and it's freer. It's not freer. It's easier to win on PS4. They would move too. It's the right mindset to have, because if you want to win, and you want to win and go to LAN. You don't want to just. It's stressful. It's best of ones.
Would you say, not including the Xbox players on PS4 and A, is it the weakest of the 4?
1000%. Even if it's like at this point not an opinion, it's a fact. Since HRX, every team that's gone has included Xbox dominant players.
Okay.
Except like this recent one, right, where it has Atomic Boom, Neil. And even then, Tommy Jet would have gone, but that would have been more PS4 teams. But Parker took a spot.
Exactly. Thank you. You made my point. I count Shu and Whoosh as PS4 guys now, because they've been here for so long. But if you look at that, there has never been, except for HRX when they were fresh Xbox transfers, and I've said this over and over, there's never been a true PS4 NA team there. So how can you say that without subs, how can you say that it's the weakest region if a full team has yet to show up? Invigorate at Valencia, 3 of those guys were from Invig, 2 were from Mobtown. They didn't decide to take them until it was last minute. And that was a weak showing by them. Blight made it to the finals at HRX, but that was a fresh Xbox transfer. Spring Masters, Comedy and Richie were on that team for the NA side of PS4. And then at this last one, and they had to take Neil as a substitute for Onslaught. And then on Elevate, they had to take a sub SJP for Tommy Jet. So, I mean, there's never really been a team representing a PS4 NA without a sub. And, another thing is that one time PS4 NA, if you count Blight as a PS4 NA team on paper, right?
No, they all went back to PS4, Xbox right after.
100% Xbox.
But okay, but here's my thing: Vexed, Gangstars, whatever you want to call them, during their LANs, they've never made it to the finals either. So how are they not considered the weakest? Is what I'm trying to say.
I thought you were talking about what region, not what top team. I definitely think it's.
I'm saying what region?
Xbox EU hasn't made it past semifinals at all. They haven't made past last place, so including if you think about that, they are.
They came last place this LAN because there's double elimination. You can actually say that if you came in third, you came in third. Most of these people are saying I came in. Like the people from Invig have on their Twitter bios and stuff like that. It's like third place at Valencia. You didn't get third place.
You got last.
To me, if you lose and there's only 4 teams and your set is before the next set, then you came in 4th. You lost first.
Yeah.
You can arguably then say, if you lost to the team that won, you came in 3rd. Or if you lost to the team that loses, you came in 4th. It doesn't matter how you put it. You didn't come in 3rd. There is no 3rd. There is no 4th.
Yeah, no.
Now there is, because they're running the double elimination. So Vex lost. Flashpoint got to come back into the tournament, and they end up losing to Elevate. So, and Elevate goes to the finals. Therefore, Flashpoint's the 3rd place team. But what I'm saying is that PS4 NA has had different teams qualify every time. They've had Invig. They've had Blight. We won't count Blight, though. We've had Invig. Okay? We had Onslaught. We've had Elevate. It doesn't matter how many Xbox kids are on these teams.
Blight.
But if you look at the Xbox EU side of things, even when PS4 kids transferred over, Vex still makes it. But they have gone as far in the tournament as PS4 NA has every time, excluding Summers and HRX. So which region is the weakest? Like, which one can you say is the weakest?
Xbox EU, 100%. Because also there's no competition there, right? Like, it used to be like 4 teams? 5 teams?
I would argue that PS4 NA is still the weakest because
not anymore, 100%.
Okay, so Stiles, you say Xbox EU.
It's an Xbox team playing.
That's
on
Xbox EU.
PS4.
Yes.
It's always an Xbox team. If it was a PS4 team, I'd argue then okay, but at every LAN, it's been 2 Xbox.
Wait, it depends though. Are we talking about the whole region as a whole, like all their teams?
All their teams. When it comes down to it, to the tournament.
Xbox EU one. I could just finish it here. Xbox EU, in order to prepare for scrims, they scrim NA teams, just because the EU doesn't give them competition.
Well, it also goes back to what Fluxy was saying.
It's usually because of BM.
It also goes back to what Fluxy was saying. All these teams are changing every week. How do you know who to? When you contact a team to scrim, they have a captain. Captain contacts another captain. How do you know who to contact in Xbox EU if every team's changing? You hit up, let's say Fluxy's the captain of Team A, and you hit up that team, and you guys are supposed to scrim tomorrow, and then tomorrow comes, Fluxy's on a different team.
I agree.
But
by the way, I just got a confirmation email from Cooper right now. I asked him. This is like a kind of important because no information has gone out on this. I asked him what's any information on the money side of thing, pricing for the league, and he said it's confirmation from Cooper. They're gonna announce it later. He said this pricing is 2 phases worth of pricing combined for 1 league. We will give full breakdowns once the teams qualify for the league. So that's good. That's a little bit more motivation for the teams to qualify into this league because it's actually gonna mean something.
Okay, You're talking about the incentive of money for people to sign up and play in the tournament. The thing is that this week coming up, or this weekend, is week 2. So that's the last open bracket week, which also, I don't know if you saw my tweets, but I emailed Cooper and I emailed Brood and I emailed Molly and Alyssa, all 4 of them together. And I said, I've been trying to grow this community, and I've been doing my best with the things that I am provided. And I remembered, I'm sitting on my stream playing the game here, and I look at my game, and in the bottom left, because they changed the user interface on the main menu than what it used to be. I don't know, you guys.
There's no information. I see that there's no PCL.
There's no like console wars or open or the tournament or any kind of advertisement for that. And I was really upset about that because there's not a lot of teams showing up, especially in the Xbox EU region. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, wow. You know why I started playing this game competitively? You know how it got me into the pro scene? You know how I got into the Discord? Is that I saw an advertisement for Console Wars for Valencia qualifiers while playing the game. It showed up on the main menu in those the advertisements that go through like a power slide of like, oh, this new skin.
I'm in the game and I see it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it advertises the new skins they did it for HRX and they did it for Valencia and I that is the reason why I started playing this game. So, I mean, could that help the Xbox EU region?
It could help every region, in my opinion. The only people who are playing there are people who know about it, right? It's like, how are you getting people that don't know about it to compete? Like, there's a lot of people who play Xbox ranked games. Like, there's a lot of people who play in the rank in the quick play games.
Just it doesn't even stop with just high res. If you look at like other places where people will talk about Paladins, you look at Reddit, you look at some of the
Twitter.
Facebook, like Twitter, everything. Like they don't really mention much to do with console at all. And if they do, it's one paragraph with a link to the finals, you know, when it's being streamed, and that's it. Like,
Don't worry.
There's so much more that potential to advertise console that isn't taken like advantage of.
I mean, that's what I'm here for, and that's what I'm working towards. So let's get back into this Xbox side of things here. You know, there's a few players in mind that I think of when I think of Xbox transfers that have considerably spent a lot of their most recent time on PS4, and those names are Shu, Comedy, and Whoosh.
Yeah. Jordan? How about Jordan?
Jordan as well. I forgot about him, but that's another good one. And he's on a PS4 team right now. Shu and Whoosh are on a team together for PS4, but Comedy has gone back and he's playing with you on Vampire Lord. How did that
come about?
How did that aspire? Like, what was the conversation? I know he was looking for teams on PS4 and Xbox. He was kind of like, you know, the LeBron James of free agency right now. Not to hype him up or make anyone else meme that.
No, it makes sense because he's known in both communities.
He's known in both communities. He's a really good player. He's been to 2 lands. He's finished second in HRX. He finished. Yeah. You can say third in the Spring Masters, but we both know.
Yeah.
Well, they were the second set. Vex lost first.
Yeah, I'll get you that. Well, I don't know if people know this, but I've teamed with Comedy before. But we didn't play in a tournament. This was before HRX qualifiers. It was me, Stiles, Parker, GR, and Comedy. Comedy was main tank back in the day. And at that time, we were really, really doing really well with Comedy. We had potential. And at that time, I think Professor Zoom was playing for what's it called? Whatever Shu's team and Whoosh's team. At that time they were SB, I think so. They had Zoom was not gonna be playing anymore and they wanted to pick up Parker. Somehow we convinced Parker to stay, and as we went on we beat SB convincingly in scrims.
Wait, real quick, sorry to cut you off. What happened to Professor Zoom? I was thinking about this because I was watching some old Valencia highlights.
He works. He works full time, and he says that he can't play. He
can't
put in the time.
So, you know, obviously he was on the team when they qualified for Valencia. But here's the second guy where I want to ask, what happened to this guy? K-Cam. He went to Valencia and
he's on PC now. He plays PC over. He played PC Overwatch, PC games.
Because he was you know, when Willow first came out, he was using Valencia and going off. So I just didn't know where those two players went, which you can finish. Those two will lead me into my next question for both you and Fluxy. So, you know, you guys were beating SB in scrims, and then what happened? Why did Comedy join them?
Wonderful came to us saying, you know what? He's been saying my team can't win. They don't listen. You know how Wonderful has that mentality. I'm pretty sure all of Onslaught, I saw that Miracle said it. They're always looking to improve, no matter how good they're doing or how bad they're doing. So Miracle was looking to get it improved, and that's what Wonderful has been in every land. Pretty sure if we wouldn't have taken Wonderful, there was a chance he wouldn't go. But he said, "Yo, let me join your team," and that's when we all talked about it. Comedy was a great tank, and but it was Wonderful Comedy. It was like a no-brainer. We wanted to go to land. We wanted to win, so we took in Wonderful. And that's when Comedy joined the powers of Shu and Whoosh, and they went to PS4 because they knew they couldn't beat us at that time with that roster. So they went to PS4, and that's when they became Blight.
Okay. So the next question I have, and it comes off of that, piggybacking off that K-Cam and Zoom question, is are there, what happened to the player base? if we look at this, okay, and I wrote these numbers down so that I wouldn't have to do it on my computer. There was 5 weeks for console wars. Fluxy, were you around during Valencia qualifiers?
No, I was a noob then.
Okay.
I haven't started playing the game yet.
Okay, so it was supposed to be 6 weeks of qualifiers, okay, but it ended up being 5. All right, and it was open bracket each week, and it was run differently than the PCS and the PCL. So basically, it's the same point system they're using now for the first 2 weeks of PCL. If you win the tournament, the tournaments were on Saturdays for NA, and EU were on Fridays. Okay, so if you won the tournament, you would get 100 points, right, in the standings. You show up the next week. If you win again, you have another 100 points. So Strictly Business qualified for Valencia by week 3 because they won the event every week. So it was 300 points, and there's only 2 weeks left. So even if they, didn't win, they would still get, they could come in dead last, only get 2 points each week, and they'd have 304 compared to someone who would win the last 2 weeks and get 200 points. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So looking back at these numbers here, I wrote down the Xbox numbers. Console War Week 1, Xbox, okay? There was 83 teams that signed up for Xbox. That's both NA and EU, and I can break it down for you. That's 62 teams for NA, or 63 teams for the North American Xbox region, and 20 teams for the EU. Fluxy, how excited would you be if you signed up this week and there's 20 Xbox EU teams for week 2?
Are we panicking?
I like qualifying, so I'd probably be pretty nervous.
But you would.
That's a lot of teams to outplace me.
That would be a lot of. But I'm speaking in the best of. Back then, it was best of 5s, I think.
How would they? What? That would take 2 days.
And then the finals were best of 3. Yeah, we started at like 11 a.m. We wouldn't stop playing till 7, 8 p.m., 9.
That was fun. I remember those days. That was fun.
Those were long days. But 83 teams total, predominantly NA, but there was 20 for the EU region. Let's go to week 2. Okay, week 2. The total number was 83. That number then dropped to 49. Some of the teams, I understand, in last place, they think they don't have a chance. Some teams broke up. Some just did it for fun. Who knows? Now, remember, these teams aren't getting paid, Fluxy. Nobody's winning any money. Okay, 49 teams. 38 were from NA, 11 from EU. Week 3, 32 teams total. 10 EU, 22 North America. Week 4, 24 teams total. 7 of those were in the EU. Week 5, 24 teams total again. 7 were in the EU again. So, I mean, if going back to the first 3 weeks, there was a lot of teams. I mean, granted, there was only 10 in EU on week 3, 11 on week 2, but there was 20 in the first week. So, I mean, what happened? Or what we know what happened. What can we do to make this happen again? At least 10, at least 11. If we're lucky, 20 teams.
The advertising, 100% the advertising. If you look at the teams that played then, you would have your Facebook teams with silvers and bronzes deciding to have a go because, why not? Let's have a go. Nowadays, if you look at the players that play, it's only players that feel they have a realistic chance of winning, and everyone's too scared if they don't feel like they have that chance or that chance of qualification. If the game was advertised better, I feel like every single region would have more teams appearing because there are hundreds of people in ranked that are playing every day. But do you see any of them in the tournaments?
I mean, here's the thing. I completely agree that it is the advertising. Okay, you have to be able to reach your player base and let them be aware of the tournaments that are happening, the esports scene, the esports community. I think that is the biggest problem because if you think about it, there's 20 teams that showed up for week 1 of Console Wars for EU Xbox, right? 20 teams. It's hard getting 8 teams right now, and they're paying you.
Yeah.
They didn't pay when those 20 teams signed up. So, I mean, I agree.
The issue is that how many people know that they're paying? Like, do you see anything advertised to anybody besides like the people who are already playing?
But that's the thing. That's the thing. How are these how are these people supposed to be aware that there's money involved if they're not even aware of the tournament itself?
Exactly.
But what can we do as a community is what I'm saying. You know, some people. I had a guy who told me once, a guy who plays an Xbox EU, he told me that he doesn't have really good internet, and you know he has a job and all of this, and that is the reason why he can't create content for the game or help the community or any of that. He does the best that he can in the time that he has, but you know that was his problem. So I mean, is it the lack of content creation coming out of Xbox EU, or the lack of people willing to help others? And that's a big thing in itself too among all the regions on both consoles. When I first started playing this game, there was nobody that helped me, you know. And I'm sure both of you do this. And if you don't, you guys are basically the equal to you know, the Lord, I guess. You should be called Jesus. Is you go into like ranked games, and if someone is doing something, or they're performing terribly, or they pick the wrong talent / legendary, or they're running a crappy deck, or they're just feeding, you turn on your mic and you say something to them. Or you know, we all know those people who call us or other people bad. They call them terrible at the game. They call them bots. You know, you guys know what I'm talking about. But it's like, why not try to help that person at first? You know, if they reject your help, then I understand. But there's a lot of people, and I've done this before too, who don't want to help people. And that's another reason why I started, you know, Console Corner in the podcast and the show and all of this, is because I want to help people, because there was no one there for me. You know what I mean? Now, eventually, I met someone who wanted to help me. His name was Garcia, and I've thanked him tons of times publicly and privately to him. You know, he found me in the Discord after I posted a few times. It took me probably a week to find the Discord link, actually, because you know you can't really advertise the Discord link on the game. That's, you know, you can't advertise that. But you know, it took me a while to find the Discord myself. It took me a while to have Garcia find me to make myself available. But I just feel like if the community was more accepting to new players, you know, it's like, do you have a job, Fluxy?
Yes, I work full time.
What do you do?
It's actually quite complicated. I've just recently been
That's perfect that it's complicated. What do you do?
Essentially, I've run a team of people who do customer service, lead generation, and sort of sales.
Okay,
online.
So when you hire someone, you train them, right?
Absolutely.
Now, if you hired someone and you didn't train them, and they did something wrong, are you going to yell at them? Call them bad at their job? I mean,
retrain.
Stiles.
Feedback.
Yeah.
Do you have a job?
Not right now.
Okay.
I have work, yes.
Okay, where was your last job?
It was at a daycare.
At a baker, right?
No, daycare.
Oh, daycare.
I was like, yeah.
So if someone, you know, comes in there and they start working for you and they do something wrong, or they you know they do something in the wrong order or anything like that, you're not going to yell at them.
Right.
You see what I'm trying to get at? Is that
I see where you're coming from.
People don't help anybody in this game. You take your competitive mindset into a casual player base.
But I say also it's also Hi-Risk's fault though, because they should, in my opinion, like EU, right? There's times where not even 8 teams would show up.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that shows just lack of advertisement. If you literally told anyone you could come and play and not even beat any team and get paid, how many teams would sign up?
Well, at that point, you have to beat someone to get paid if a lot of teams show up.
I mean, you don't. don't. If there's only 18, less than 18, if you get top
true.
8.
But I'm saying you can't literally say in the advertising.
I
like,
know, obviously, but that's not.
Hey, you don't even have
is.
to win and you'll get paid, and then 50 teams show up. Someone's not getting paid.
Obviously,
at the end of the day, you get some crystals, man. Who needs money?
At the end of the day, you get crystals. Yeah.
You get paid if you play. But I'm trying to say is that they're doing a poor job at advertising that there is a PCS and that you can get paid by playing a game. And there is not many teams right now, so it's not that hard to be at the top if you just grind the game with a group of friends. That's what I'm saying though. If there's no way, or if they're not doing it, and we want our community to grow, we want to prove to them, or when I'm a DJ, right? So when people come to me and they say, "Oh, you should do this, you should do that," and they're below me, I don't like saying that, but they're just starting out, or they don't get as many gigs as me, or something like that. Most of the times I'm not gonna listen to this person. But if they start doing something on their own, as in we start advertising the tournament for them, we start helping the casual player base, we start telling people about the tournament ourselves, right.
Then
be open-minded.
Maybe they'll be like, okay, these people actually care about their community. These people actually care about their scene. And this goes back all the way back to when I made those statements on Twitter about those, about, I don't know if you guys were part of it, but people, something's wrong with the game. You don't need to complain about it. You don't need to scream at high res, because you have to remember, have you guys ever, I'm sure you guys have text girls before. When you text them, that person is reading your words in their mind, in their context. You can't, and it's the same thing with Twitter. It's very hard when you type words on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram even, in a text message, in an email. It's very hard, especially with people who are not that good at writing or don't take time and effort into their grammar. It's very hard to display the context in which you are trying to, you know what I mean? It's very hard for you to display the context that you want. So, I sent a message to my girlfriend the other day, and she replied to me assuming that I was saying something bad, because she read it in the context that was different than what I intended. So when people on Twitter are complaining about something, the people at high res are reading it in their context, not yours.
Right.
You could be like, "Oh my God, this is so stupid. You need to do this." But to them, it could be, "Oh my God, you're so fucking stupid. Why are you doing this?" You know what I mean? So, we have to show that we care about our community, we care about our esports, we care about the console wars, we care about the console league, but we have to display it differently and at a more progressive rate than what we are right now, in order for them to be like, maybe a light will spark, or the light bulbs will turn on in their heads, and it'll be like, "Oh my God, these kids actually care. They're not assholes anymore. They're not being dicks and douches on the internet." It's like before the league was announced, we had all these people telling me, "We need a league. We need a league. Why won't they just make a fucking league?" Well, I'm like, well, they signed a contract, a legal contract with Mixer to do PCS for a year, stream them on Mixer. They have this much money given to them from Mixer. This is how much money they're going to spend on the players and reward teams and so on. So they're going to follow the legal contract that they signed. This is how business works. They're not just going to stop their contract because you guys are screaming at them on Twitter to make a league. And I told people to be patient, and I told people to be respectful, and I told them that we need to show different attitudes and different contexts through the internet because we aren't looking at these people in real life. We aren't talking to them in real life. And that goes for the same with the people that we play in ranked with, in casuals, whatever it may be. I think that if we're nicer to people, we get what we want in return or close to it.
Absolutely. I think there's also an issue with there not being really any big role models in any of the big teams. Like you look at some of the top teams across all the regions, how many of those are active content creators or interact with any part of the community? They don't really. They sort of sit to themselves. We had Skeppy who streamed for a while, who's now streaming less. We have you who interacts with people, but aside from that, there isn't anyone from any region that really takes that step to sort of, you know, show everyone that, you know, we have a competitive community, that we can reach out to newer members, we can reach out and show ourselves off as professional people. It's not there, and there's that missing link that I feel like anyone from any of the top teams should really be looking at to try and like progress themselves as a brand and as a person by stepping into content creation.
That's a good point. Stiles, do you have anything to?
I've tried. I really tried. I wanted to, but like it's very hard because like I want to get like a PC setup stream. I'm gonna do it soon because I stream on my Xbox and there's not much I can explore with like streaming. But I've tried and it's very hard when I would stream and get 13-minute queues and like I would have like a good 20 viewers and then the next queue starts. They have to wait 13 minutes and trying to keep them engaged in those 13 minutes without having to use my PC and like show them other stuff. It's very complicated.
Exactly. I had the same problem. I mean, you've seen my stream. I have so much that I can do in between queues, you know? I mean, I stream with a PC, luckily. I started off streaming straight from my PlayStation, and it was terrible.
You get what I'm coming from then, right?
I get exactly where you're coming from. You know, on the
very,
PlayStation,
very
when you stream
like,
from that, you don't get overlays, all of that. So
if I got an insta queue, I would be streaming every day, like easily. Every time I played ranked, there's no reason for me to just turn on my stream and stream my ranked games. Easily could do that, but it's no point if like I feel like I'm just tarnishing whatever it is, like Paladins, if I stream and get no viewers, and every time I start queue, it would feel like it would just tarnish the scene more than it would help, because it would literally not help it at all. Thinking people would come out of different games to friends, because I've come from different scenes, and I would have like friends from other games come out, and if they see me constantly on queue waiting in 13 minutes on top, it's literally only gonna make the scene look worse. So that's why I stopped.
So here's my thing. My thing is that you know, I built my PC back in like August, right?
I have a PC, but like I have to get like a PC setup stream.
No, I'm saying, so I started streaming on my PC when I built it back in like August, and I still had, you know, maybe 2 to 3 viewers on average during an 8-hour stream. So I planned to go to HRX, you know, first with my team if we qualified. We didn't. But after that, I said, okay, I'm still going to go to HRX. I need, you know, and at the time I was watching all of iHoldShift's videos, Realm Recap. Okay, this is how Console Corner was thought of and how it was born. I'm going to explain this to you. And I said, okay, this community, this Console Paladins community needs something like this. At the time it was Realm Recap. Okay, so I watched every Realm Recap video. They were like an hour and something long, each one of them, okay? And I watched every single one of them. It was basically like I was binge watching on Netflix. But I was watching all of these Realm Recap videos from iHoldShift, and all the way up to the very last one where it was the HRX preview. Not a single time in any of those videos was console mentioned, okay? And then I said, you know, this is... No offense to iHoldShift. He's a great guy, and he does wonderful work. But I said, this is terrible. Not a single thing was said about console. And there's 4 teams going to the Worlds. The World High-Res event. The World Paladins event. The biggest Smite event of the world. And nothing was said about these console teams. I said, there's got to be something done. Someone has got to make something. So, of course, I said, I'll do it. But at the time, you know, I'm I'm in the music industry. I'm trying to get into the acting industry. So I look at things from a different perspective, and I have a different mentality for things. Everything I do has a purpose to it, okay? So I thought, wow, I get 2 to 3 average viewers on stream. My YouTube's been inactive for a while. Even then, I didn't really get any views on my videos. I said, how am I going to get people to want to watch something about console? How am I going to get people, how am I going to get that directed traffic flow to my Twitter? At the time, I had just made the Bluball Twitter, right? So I said, you know, I can hire PR. I can do everything that I would do the same way as I would do music. But then I said, you know what? I have a ticket to HRX. I'm going to go there, and I'm going to purposely make sure that people remember who I am, okay? And Stiles, you were there, right?
Yes, I was. Sadly, I was at the. That's when you started screaming, keep giving wonderful rookies, right?
Yeah, I was just heckling. But I sat front row every single day. I was there from the very first match of the day in the morning to the very last match of the day, even on the day where the PC matches for that day didn't end till 1 a.m. I was still there. Stiles, the rest of his team, you guys would go out and have dinner. The other teams would go out and have dinner. People would hang out in the hotel. They'd go do this. They'd go do that. They'd go do this. If they weren't playing, or the team they were there with wasn't playing, they were only there for like the big matches or for a little bit. I was there from the beginning every day to the end of every day, and I had a vuvuzela, and I would blow it all the time. Obnoxiously. Okay? People would ask me, who am I? Why am I doing this? Why don't I stop? People told me all the time, it's annoying, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. This is the reason behind all of this, right? How many people were there? A ton. You go up to someone. Let's say you go up to Rain Day. Let's say you go up to Vox. Let's say you go up to Golden Boy. Let's say you go up to the players on PC, the players on console. You say, hi, my name is Fluxy, right? For example. A month later, how are they going to remember your name, Fluxy? Hey, do you remember me? You go in their stream. Hey, do you remember me? Right? 10 out of 10 chance that they won't. When I go into their stream 2 months later, okay, and I type in, hey, what's up? And this really happened with multiple people. It's like, oh my God, it's that kid with the vuvuzela. Oh my God, it's Bluball, the kid with the horn. Oh my God, it's that really loud, obnoxious kid. They remember me. Okay? And I took that clout that I gained, and I instantly said, there we go. We're going to create Console Corner. The console community is going to grow from here on out. And from then on out, I wrote a plan on a dry erase board. That dry erase board is no longer able to be used. I cannot erase what I wrote on there because it's been on there for so fucking long. I've tried erasing it. It doesn't work. On there is the plan on how to grow the console community. I still add to it, because things are changing every day, every week, every month. But, I took that clout and I said, I'm making this show. And people were engaged. 200-something views on that promotional video for Console Corner. There was no green screen. The music was shitty. The microphone that I used was a USB shitty microphone. The words and stuff that were on the video, I made them in OBS, and I had to manually click them to show them on screen. That's why everything went so slowly. Those logos were just straight off of Google. It was a terribly made video, a terribly edited video. I actually don't even think it was edited. I think I recorded it like 6 times in OBS because I didn't want to edit it, so I had to make sure that it was perfectly done the first time, or perfectly was the best that I could do at that time. And from then on, I've only tried to make the videos better each time. I've only tried to do this. I've only tried to do that. And I'm doing all of this because I love the community. I love this game. I want to see 20 teams in the EU Xbox region. I want to see 100 teams in the EU Xbox region. Same goes for NA. I understand that it's difficult because only one team makes LAN. I understand that it's difficult because Hi-Rez may take longer to pay you, or Hi-Rez might not be paying you a lot, or Hi-Rez may be doing this. No matter what's going on, I want those teams to sign up. I want people to play this game. I believe this game is one of the best games on the market right now. The community is not as big as Overwatch. Overwatch spends a lot more money in advertising, which is why we get called the free version of it. Overwatch has a huge league with city teams. It just gained 2 more cities, Atlanta and Guangzhou, or however you say it. And I hope Paladins gets to that level one day, but I don't think it's going to get that way with people who quit the game because they're not happy with some of the things that are happening. Instead of trying to, include their input. I don't think it's going to get there with the player base that is uneducated amongst themselves. I don't think it's going to get there with the amount of people that are toxic through Twitter, through Reddit, and even in the game. I mean, other than that, I don't know how else we can help as players, as community people, and myself as a content creator.
Yep, I totally agree with everything you said. But the game is very, very, very fun to me. I think it's better than Overwatch, and I've played Overwatch for a year, but it's just all about the mindset that people have.
I think you're right, and I think there is the potential for it to be just bigger player bases, because there's still a decent player base on Paladins in ranked and in casuals. It's getting those people into the community by inclusion and content and basically anything we can do. Like I spent quite a lot of time on Reddit, and I don't think I've seen anybody from the EU Xbox region on Reddit. I've spent some time on Facebook, and now we're starting to see people come in from Facebook. Like if we all as a whole started taking steps towards including people and just doing everything we can in the same way that you do, Bluball, then we'd see results quickly. It's just getting that inclusion, getting the teams to agree, getting the top players to start pulling their weight for these kinds of things. That's the tough part. And
the other tough thing is that, and this also talks about the All-Star ballot. A lot of people don't like it because it's a popularity contest, but it's something that is content creation and community driven and community involvement.
Conversation going.
There's not a lot to do when there's no PCS, when there's no PCL. There's no tournament for a month. There's nothing to do except for play other games, play ranked, complain on Twitter. The usual things. Or meme, because this community memes everything 24/7. I wake up, go on Twitter, there's memes. Before I go to bed, there's memes. And that's fine. But when there's nothing to do, like the tournaments or anything, I feel like there's, when there's nothing to do, there's no tournaments or anything, I feel like the All-Star ballot is something to do. It's keeping you in that esports community state of mind. It's oh, there's no tournament this weekend. Oh, there's an All-Star ballot. Let me vote who's the best damage on Xbox NA. Or, let me do this. Or let me watch the power rankings video. Or let me watch the top 5 plays video. Or let me listen to this long-ass fucking boring podcast where these people are just talking the whole time. That's why I keep trying to create these things to do when there's this, dead time. Just at a baseball game. I don't know if you've gone to a baseball game, Fluxy, or even you, Stiles. But when you go to a baseball game, right?
Halftime show. There's always halftime shows. Stuff like that.
Well, there's no halftime at a baseball game show, but
I know.
They have those.
Like halftime shows.
They take so long to in between innings, or when one team switches from defense to offense. There's things to do. They do the things on the screen. You clap your hands. They do the kiss cam at basketball games. So it's like these small little things that I try to do to keep everyone entertained, to keep everyone involved. That was the whole point of the console All-Star ballot, is to keep people involved in the esports community of console Paladins. And I feel like we need to keep doing things like that, because if we lose that, then all we have left is just the tournaments. And the tournaments aren't being advertised, so they're not appealing to those who don't know them or of them. I just feel like there's more that we could do to help Xbox, to help PS4 even. I mean, if you look at the PS4 side of things, let me pull it up here. There was 10 teams or 11 teams in PS4 NA week 1 for PCL. 11 teams is not that much when one or two of them consist of Xbox players. So, there's only 9 at that point. And there was only 10 Xbox teams, which means there was only 11 if you put that team back on Xbox instead of PS4. So, keeping people entertained and involved is a huge part of it, considering most of us are millennials, or the other part are Generation Z. I don't know if you guys know what that is. It's 1998 to 2010 if you were born in that.
Yeah, Generation Z. I know
that. Generation Z. We're Generation Y, which was the millennials. So short attention spans, and Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. The internet has created such an epidemic with short attention spans. That's why things that catch your attention and can keep it are so valuable, which is what I think Paladins should strive to do, is to grab your attention viciously and then just beautifully keep it for a long time.
Also, I was going to ask, do you know any information on the league? Like, other than there's going to be a league, do we know how the format's going to be or anything like that?
Format as in it's...
Is it a tournament, or is it like scheduled matches? You schedule a match with a team, you play that team every week, you play every 2 teams.
It's going to be... you're going to face...
2 matches a week.
It could be more than 2 if you lose.
Best of 3. I think that's what it says in the...
It's double round. It's round robin. It's round robin.
So it's going to be tournament. It's not going to be a league.
Well, it is a league.
It's a league, not a tournament. It's round robin. So you play 2 matches every week, and then at the end of the week, whoever has the most matches won, whatever, is the team that goes to LAN.
And there's 6 weeks for that, right?
Yes. So you'll have a record. So you could go like 10-1. You know what I'm saying? Or 10-2, you know what I'm saying? But, yeah, it's round robin. The problem with round robin, the biggest problems that round robin can encounter is actually sorry, lost my train of thought there for a second. So the biggest problem with round robin format is that it can suffer from being too long, but there's only 4 teams, so I don't think we'll run into that problem.
Not only that, only one game is going to be streamed, right?
The finals, yes. But here's the thing. Later games potentially mean nothing. Okay, so if you have a team that's like 10-0 going up against a team that's 0-10, it doesn't really mean anything at the end of the season. It's their last 2 games. The 0-10 team is definitely not going to make LAN. The 10-0 team is either going to make LAN or it could mean something to them. And then at the end of a round robin, you may need a tie-breaking procedure. There could be 2 teams that are tied in record or tied in times
Is
it.
it an odd number or an even number of weeks? It's even, so yeah, there could be a tie 3-3, right?
Yes. But going back to the Xbox side of thing, do you feel that Xbox NA has the best Paladins players in the world?
As in, it has created the best Paladins players in the world, definitely. When you look at players like Wonderful, Skeppy, Coolmat,
And
Extrinsic, and Miracle, you look at that team, you think about Xbox, and they're
a lot of
really good
people,
players.
a lot of people who play Call of Duty professionally, Call of Duty Pro, the Pro
There's
Call of Duty
PS4, right?
is on PS4, but a lot of those guys come from Xbox as well, and they do fairly well. A lot of people on Halo is a really big esport. That's a tier
This is
1.
why I also think.
Why do you think Xbox has? I mean, does
Players?
Xbox have better FPS players overall?
I don't know. I felt like this is why Xbox was so big in the beginning and why we got the best players. In my opinion, people who play PS4 don't. Back in the day, at least I don't know if you know, MLG was only Xbox.
Yeah, I'm aware.
MLG was Xbox, and then not until recently when PS4 announced the partnership with Activision. That's when they started getting more attention towards Call of Duty and PS4 and all the Gears of War, Halo Pros, COD Pros, Smite Pros, because Smite was also a pro scene, and then Battlefield games. All those players that stayed on Xbox came to High Res, Smite, Overwatch, and started playing games like that. And then when Paladins was announced, and a lot of people heard, yo, there's another game that High Res making, and that's on console. I'm gonna give it a try, see if I like it. A lot of Overwatch people did it. I did it because I was on Overwatch. A lot of Smite kids did it. I played Smite 2 for a while too. And as soon as they played and they said, yo, I have no chance, they left. But the ones who did stayed, and those are the ones we're seeing now. And most players, I say, have a competitive background with them coming into Paladins, and that's why I think Xbox has one of the better ones.
You mentioned you and some other Xbox guys played Overwatch. Fluxy, did you play Overwatch before you came to Paladins?
No, I've never played a single game of Overwatch.
I've literally played every game competitively. Not Gears, but I did play it a lot. I played Halo 2 competitively back in the day. Gears.
Well, I mentioned Overwatch because Paladins gets called the ripoff of Overwatch, and it gets a lot.
I see why they get that though, but I see why.
But here's my question that I want to that I have is: do you feel that Overwatch players, especially the competitive ones, do you feel that they have an advantage in yes. Paladins, because it's essentially completely different when you think about it. You have to you can have separate loadouts. You can't have mirrored characters on each team. You have to go through a draft, and you have to deal with in-game items.
I'd go one further than that, actually. I'd say it's more of a case of a lot of the Overwatch players weren't originally Overwatch players. It's not like that's the first competitive title. I'd say the players that have come from Overwatch usually have that competitive background from other games like Gears, Halo, Call of Duty, and that's what they've transitioned through Overwatch into Paladins.
But there's one advantage I see you get from playing Overwatch or Smite. Smite is simply for the team fights. The communication you need for a team fight is so different than COD, because there's a lot of small talk and calling where you're looking, right? And Smite, there's a lot of target calling and shit like that. There's a lot of prioritization. And Smite also had something which is just get picks and bans. If you were coming from a game that is completely new to that, you have to relearn a whole system that it's very, very complicated and you could always be better at. Overwatch has something that's really good, which is pushing for an objective, and that's the payload, that's the capture point, whatever you call, and also team compositions and what you need on a team comp. And that's why a lot of players who play Overwatch or Smite, which is me, I get understanding already what you need and how you need to do it. So I feel like that's why we have the edge in most of Paladins.
Do you feel that Paladins is a better esport than Overwatch?
I think Overwatch still, in my opinion. I played the game for a year and a half, and I was a top team early on. I was one of the beta players, and I really enjoyed the game off the break.
I played the game in the beta too as well. I mean, and I grinded the game for like a year.
And then they started slowing down. They patch every once a month. If that, new heroes come out. There's only been 5 new heroes in a span of almost 2 years. I think it's 2 years actually already. I don't know. It's very, very, very slow for me. And then you watch the game and you see the same thing happen over and over, just with better mechanics. And to me, that's not very, in my opinion, entertaining.
I think
over something that's always constantly changing.
Fluxy, do you think Paladins is a better esport than Overwatch?
I think Overwatch is a better esport. So
I'm probably not the best person to comment on because I haven't played Overwatch. I'm not from an Overwatch background. I mean, I've watched a little bit of the Koreans destroying people in the Overwatch League, but I would always vote Paladins just because of the sort of the extra things that the game has, which requires more of a brain than just mechanics.
So here's my opinion. I feel that Paladins is a better esport for one simple factor. When the Overwatch League started, okay, I told one of my friends to say, hey, you want to go to, there's this bar. It's called 16-Bit. They got video games and stuff, right? Like arcade games, like Pac-Man and stuff like that. NBA Jam 98 or 95 or whatever. So you go there and you have some beers and or you have some drinks and you play games, right? And all the games are free. You don't have to buy tokens. You don't have to put money in. It's cool, right? You just have to wait until the person in front of you is done playing that game, which could be a while sometimes. But here's the thing. During the Overwatch League, when it first started, they were showing the games there. That was revolutionary. And it was the only place in the city. I'd rather have an esports dedicated bar here. But they were showing the games. So I was like, hey, do you want to go to 16-Bit? They're showing Overwatch League, and it just started. That's why I want to go. But, I know you love that bar. So we go, and he's like, he doesn't play video games. So he's like, what's going on? How does this work? And they were playing, what's that map? Temple of Anubis, right? So I explained to him, each character has different abilities. There's different roles. Tank, they're usually the ones that get all the beating taken. They take the beating. Mostly they stand up front, take the hits for you. You got your damages who, do all your damage from a ranged kind of perspective. Some of them can get up in your face and stuff like that. And I told him then you have your supports who are your healers. They heal your teammates, right? And then I explained to him. He's like, okay, so what are they What are they doing on in the game? And I said, okay, one team's on defense, one team's on offense, and it's Temple of Anubis. So you have to capture point A by standing on it, but the enemy can't be standing on it with you, right? And then point B, same thing. And you have a certain amount of time. If you capture A, then you get more time added to your clock in order to capture point B. And then you alternate for the other team to try and do the same thing on offense, and then the winner's determined after that. Or if they tie, then they go through a tiebreaker, right? So he's like, okay, easy enough, I understand. So then we watch it, and the game ends, and the next game begins, and the next game is El Dorado, or Dorado. And he's like, what is that truck? And I said, okay, this is a different game mode. Each map has there's different maps with different game modes. So I explained to him this game mode where there's 3 checkpoints and you have to get this payload all the way to the end, and you have to stand near it without the enemy team being near it because they can contest it. And he goes, oh, okay. And then they go to another map where it's Lijiang Tower. He's like, what the hell is this one? There's no truck. And he goes, they captured that one. Where's the next one? And I said, okay, this is like King of the Hill. They both fight for 1 point. They're both on offense. Whoever captures it is the one standing in it. You can't let the other team stand in it, blah, blah, blah. He goes, man, this is too much shit to remember. I said, you're right. Then I thought in my head, if we were watching Paladins, I could explain this to him drunk in under 2 minutes, one time, and he'll be able to understand the game for the rest of the night.
Right.
If I can explain a sport, okay, because esports is a sport, and those people playing are athletes, okay? If I can explain a sport and a game to somebody in a bar, in a crowded bar, drunk, in under 2 minutes correctly, it's a better esport. So that's why I believe Paladins could be and is a better esport than Overwatch.
There's only one reason I think Overwatch has an upper edge when it comes to esport.
They have more
and
money.
I don't know if you agree with this. And it's because the game is very, very polished compared to Paladins. Paladins, you look at the game and which one's more aesthetically pleasing. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, you could tell Blizzard has more money and has put more money into the game.
They have more money. They have a bigger studio. They have a bigger budget.
They have everything, which is understandable. But that's the reason why I think a lot of people watch it. It's a nice looking game. There's a lot of characters that fall in love. Like people love D.Va, love Mercy.
Well, that could go to same with everyone loves
insane in that game, and people love that. That's why a lot of like females are attracted to that game because it brought a whole different new type of scenario.
Exactly, but that is all part of your advertising. I mean, the character thing, there's people who love Ying. Obviously, if you watch the video where I said I want to quit playing Paladins because someone said they picked Ying because they like her. Okay.
I guess it was a female.
Well, it was a guy, but
that was Shoe Smurf.
But no, I just feel like the advertising needs to change. I think they need to spend more money on advertising, maybe get some partnerships or something like that. But I feel that Paladins could be a better esport, and I feel that overall the developer could be doing a better job, but it starts with us. We need, as a community, to be able to advertise within our own channels and to be, better towards those newer player base, towards those newer players, because if they don't know about it or they don't know something, you shouldn't yell at them. You should try and help them. If they reject your help, then I understand if you go toxic on them. But I don't know. I just guess I use a different mentality going into things than most people in the gaming community would acknowledge. But yeah.
Yeah. And also I wanted to point out something for the community that watches this. My team, obviously, I feel like I want to bring something out because a lot of people are confused, like how did like the top teams lose and how the second place teams win. I think it's simple. It's all these top teams underestimate a lot of players, so they don't. I could guarantee you Onslaught didn't put that much time in or thought in us beating them, right? And I wouldn't either because at that point there's a new team, they're not beating us. We've been at the top. I don't think we're the better team. We're definitely not the better team right now because we're a new team. I think we just got the best out of them that day, and we still have a lot to work for. But I feel like top teams can't stay at the top and can't stay if they don't want to. If they want it for free, they gotta grind too because a lot of teams are talented, and if they put in the same amount of time, it's scary. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to say this. Like I was getting a lot of hate because I was hosting tryouts, right? But what people don't know, I didn't want to make it a big deal on the TL because it was like it only makes us look worse. It's childish. I hit up Comedy like the first day I thought about coming back to compete, and I said, Comedy, what do you think about making a team? I'm down. I know you have the connections to PS4 players. I have the connections to Xbox players. We could make a team. I don't care what console it is. I just want to compete at the top again. And that's when he thought about Richie and Hilltime, and we were still like questioning because they didn't know if they wanted to compete. And that's when I went to Twitter and looked for a DPS flex. And I did get some messages from people saying, let me try out. But like I already had Comedy in my mind and he said he was down. So all the support players that hit me up, I told them, I'm sorry, like there's no tryouts for that. And like they only have a week. I cannot make a whole roster with trying out 5 different people. Like if we don't win this week or like get top, we don't win. We have a less chance, and I wanted to make sure that I qualify into the league. And this kid messages me, and I know him from Smite, and he expects a tryout, but he's new to the game. And I'm like, no, that's not how it works. You have to grind and make sure I know who you are because you're that good that you're worth a tryout. It sucks saying worth a tryout, but It's like I'm not gonna go up to a top player, me being like new to the game, and expect to be on that team, and just because he doesn't think I'm good, I'm gonna feel bad about it and make a big deal about it. We ended up picking up Kenichi. Have you heard of Kenichi, Bluball?
I haven't. That is the only person I would say is not a veteran player. He follows me on Twitter and he's been real active with me. So I mean,
yeah. So this is how it happened with Kenichi. I was playing a lot of Raid because like I took a break, right?
Where did he come from? Is what I'm trying to say.
He's been playing, but he's in the quick play / he's in like he watches, he plays, but he was not into the thing committed. I was playing ranked, and then one night I played like for 8 hours, and me and Kenichi got on at least 10 of our game. He messaged me and he says, "Let's duo." I join. I'm like, you know what? When he's interested, he was not a bad player. Let me play with him. I joined. We played for a couple games. Kept playing that day. Got to know the kid, and I didn't know he was in the scene. And then he was good. He impressed me, and that's when we thought about trying him out. I seen him trying to compete, and like he was grinding. He was trying to get into 10s every day. He was trying to play, and that's when I brought up to Comedy, Richie, and Hilltime. We're trying out these kids, but let's give Kenichi a try. They were set on Devil Can, but I'm like, this doesn't hurt us if we try Kenichi. He's good, trust me. And I've also had people like recommend me him, but I've been playing with him and he's good. We tried him out and he did really good. He showed he could be a top DPS, and just because he grinded, he wanted it. People like he was grinding rank at least like 8 hours a day, and I saw him and I saw that he wanted it. We gave him a try and we picked him up. So
Stiles.
He went from being a rank kid to T.
Stiles, you know what happened there?
What happened?
You were nice.
Exactly. Like, I gave him a chance. Like all it takes is to give somebody a chance. But it's different. Like this superficial kid, he's new to the scene, and he literally a month before asked me for advice of like what works, what builds, and then the next month asked me to join his team. I mean, him to join my team when I have Comedy. Like,
yeah,
why would
I mean, I understand, but I mean, maybe he wanted to join your team to learn further. I mean, I don't know. And
no, here's the thing: it's like Bluball. Let me see. I hit you up to make a team, right? And you're a support player. And a support asks me to team. Am I gonna tell him, yeah, I'm gonna try you out, even though I'm making a team with Bluball, or do I tell him, sorry, no, I can't because of this?
The kid could be a prodigy.
Yeah, but like, you know what I'm trying to say? It's like you come to me I'm a tank man. You come to me to make a team, and I'm a tank man. And we think about us two making a team together, and you get hit up by another tank main that has no experience versus me who has 1 HRX, and he tells you, let me try out for tank main, and you try him out. Like, are you gonna try him out when you know I already been at the top? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's new. That's where my mentality was, and I said wasting my time. But by that I meant I already have a support player. Why would I try you out when I already have one? I'll be just wasting my time. I didn't call him a waste of time.
Yeah, I understand. Hey, I understand. But before we go here, I want to ask you guys a couple last questions. Fluxy, who do you think are some Xbox EU players that are not playing the game anymore or playing competitively anymore that you still think should come back because they have some potential or something like that? For example, if I were to give you PS4 NA guys, I'd give you people like Objection or Grapple or
Evil Shadow, right?
Evil Shadow, or even Ralkion, the Muffin Man, or Unique Strokes. You know, people of that nature. Is there anybody you can name off the top of your head?
There are so many good players that could come back and still do well. I just worry that they'd come back with an ego and not come back fully if they don't make it straight into a top team. But you're looking at your players like Eights, Valerian, Dr. TPC. There were so many players that used to dominate. They used to dominate ranked. They would dominate in tournaments that left for one reason or another. That if they came back, you give them a month of practice, they'd be at the top again.
Okay. Eights and Valerian are like the only people I know on that list that you just said.
Anymore?
No, Eights does not compete anymore.
He was on Meatball last, wasn't he?
No, he was on my team last when we were Revolt Gaming.
Oh, okay. What happened to Revolt Gaming? See, that's another thing, going back to what we were talking about earlier, where Vex doesn't really have a team in mind that they're trying to prepare for. You know, Revolts was the best team, the second best team. Then Godslayers were the second best team, or whatever order it was in. Then there was another team. There was another team that was number 2 in the EU region, and now it's just like whoever can make it there is the number 2 team, but Vex is number 1.
Well, the issue with Revolt was we stuck together for a while, and then eventually became, and still to this date, the only team to beat Vexed in PCS and win a PCS that's not Vexed. But the problem was then there were some real life commitments. It was exam times, and we had two 16-year-old players who essentially quit the game for exams. One of them didn't come back, and then through just sort of iterations of replacements, the team sort of grew weaker. And just sort of naturally fell apart. It was a conflict of timing, I think. But the players that were in that team that are still playing, I think, are in the right places. Like you look at like Yui and Slop, who are now on Vex. Like they were 2 incredibly talented players who are now getting that opportunity to shine. And I think if you look at Vex, especially now with the new roster, I feel like they're finally going to bring something to NA. So watch out, Stiles.
Yeah. I hope they do good too.
Stiles, who do you think, are there any players you can think of that are gone but they had potential and you'd like to see them come back?
There's a couple. I think there's a lot of people that played like back in like Nitro. He was really good, but he only played for. I want to see Yuki and all of STDX like Mercy. You know what I'm saying? Like those type of players that have made the scene and played Yingbot. Really good back in the day.
Yeah.
Zoom. There's a lot of great players also that could have played, but they just didn't. There's a lot of teams, but I just hope the scene just grows, and I hope it does with the league. I don't know how it's gonna turn out, but
I enjoyed watching STDX, especially Yuki and Mercy. I thought they were very good players.
They're very, very, very interesting to watch too, which is different. I like having that rivalry with that was Onslaught. Not Onslaught. That was Goodnight Moon. They STDX, SB, and us on NA.
Yeah,
it was interesting.
It was good. It was good. Good entertainment.
Fun. It was like anyone could win that day. 7 day. It was really good.
So 2 more questions here for both of you. Real quick, which of these teams do you think has the best chance to make it back to the next LAN, which is HRX in November? Out of the 4 that were at the last LAN, Vexed, Onslaught, Elevate, and Flashpoint.
Onslaught's only that stayed the same, right?
Well, Flashpoint's still the same. I mean, they added Harvey.
All right, so we're thinking about Elevate as Shoe and Whoosh. I think they're definitely making it 100%. So we scrimmed them yesterday.
Well, which team out of those 4, which one has the best chance of
winning?
Of winning their bracket?
Elevate.
Yes.
Elevate.
You'd say Elevate. So? How about you, Fluxy?
I would say Flashpoint. I think they had a dodgy week last week, but I just don't think they have enough competition for them to realistically not. Are you
guys only picking the teams across from you because you guys think you're gonna beat the other 2 teams in your regions?
No, I would say Onslaught, but like I don't want to. I hope I'm grinding to prove that wrong. So like me saying Onslaught will just counter my.
Yeah, I understand.
No, and then we also scrimmed Elevate the first day we made the team, and Richie, me, Hilltime Comedy. I told them that team was gonna be done dirty, but what we saw against them, I was very surprised they lost because they were one of the teams that we saw the most chemistry, and I've seen them in a while.
I think the
also
problem.
Want to point out something. She was on support now.
Yes, I know. GR has moved back to damage.
On DPS.
I know. I know.
I think that was the move. That was the move. We played against them yesterday, and that was definitely the move.
I think the problem with Elevate right now, especially since they lost to the Oni Channers, is that they don't have all their cards.
Yeah.
So I mean that could be a huge issue, especially for the people that just transferred SJP, Emmett Payne, even GR. Not having all of your cards is a big deal.
Big deal. Yeah.
It could
make or break a game.
Exactly. Fluxy, who's the best chance to upset Vexed?
Ooh,
you can say your team, or you can, if you want to say your team, give me 2 teams. Your team and who else?
My team's a work in progress. I would love to upset Vex. I don't see it happening in the near future, but give us 6 months. You have to say the only team that's, I think, realistically got a chance of upsetting them is going to be whatever roster that Fanatics ends up settling on.
He's definitely gonna make a team with Lexi, isn't he?
That fine Tix guy?
I don't see that happening. I think Vex are definitely going to qualify.
Fanatics on a team with Frank?
No, Fanatics is with Wild Cards.
West Side?
What else is he with? No. Hang on, I've got this on my
West
notes.
Side with?
Last I checked, Westside's free agent. There's been quite a lot of team changes. He was going to be with Spectre and Sibs, but at the minute, I think Fanatics is looking.
Wildcard was with Potent, Yui, Fanatics, and Swiper.
Yes, but now it's Potent, Wildcard, Fanatics, Kingz, and Smutney. Smutney from PC. PC Gangstars team in EU.
I thought Smutney was playing with Need Healing.
I've got the intel on that one. There's been a lot of roster changes in the last 3 to 4 days.
Yeah, I can
from the top because of Vexed.
Yeah, I can tell. So you're gonna say that team, okay? Stiles, who's the best chance at upsetting Onslaught besides Vampire Lord?
This quick because we're actually scrimming Onslaught right now, but I think press Y. Which also want to bring up something. We got the worst bracket, and they're screwed because we played the top teams, literally the top teams in order.
I saw that. You guys
did. We played Island Shots team, which is their top 4 contestable with Kirsty's hands.
You played
the top 4 teams right now consider us, Onslaught, Press Y, Island Shots, or Kirsty's hand. But
at least you didn't have the bracket to get first rounded like I did.
You played Onslaught
team and we got first rounded.
You played 4 of the top 4 teams, I would say. Yeah. You played Onslaught, you played Kirsty's hands, Press Y, and the One Tricks. So I mean, every single one of your games was difficult.
Yeah, I know, and definitely since we gave Kirsty's hands the top. They got the best bracket because they got a top 3 without. Before then, they got a bye, so they're guaranteed if they just make top 4, a league spot. And we gave Press Y a tough bracket because now they have to. It depends how many teams sign up on next week. They have to go against Onslaught.
Yeah.
Early on, and if they have to win in order to make the league. Actually, no, we go into a tournament. You get the top 8. Never mind. These really mean nothing, right?
Yeah, you make top seeding, 8, you're good.
But it's seeding. But they will have to face if they don't do good. They will have to face Onslaught early on in the tournament, and it's very, very difficult. But I think the top 4 teams right now is us. I mean, I think in order right now, because we won, but I still think Onslaught's a better team. I think it's Onslaught, us, Press Y, and then Kirsty's hands if they play, because they played with 2 subs. I don't know what happened.
Yes, I'm aware they played with 2 subs.
Yeah, but I think Press Y has a chance. It depends because they're thinking of. They subbed with Soldier Bot, and Soldier Bot's, in my opinion, a better DPS than Nari. But it depends if they keep him or if they make that roster change. They can definitely contest top team.
Well, whether Soldier Bot's better or not, he was subbing, so they haven't really.
Yeah, but I know for a fact if Soldier Bot asked him to join that team.
I'm saying they haven't been scrimming with him. Is what I'm saying.
No, they haven't. No.
Yeah, exactly. So.
But Soldier Bot did really good that tournament. We almost lost.
But that's all I've got for you guys. I appreciate you guys coming on the show to talk Xbox, EU, and NA with me. And I hope that the scene just continues to grow, especially on the Xbox side of things. I know it's a little difficult in the EU region, especially, but I'm trying everything that I can, and I hope that everyone can either help or do something on their own in a positive way.
Yeah, man, that was very fun, man. Thanks for having me.
No problem, man. Fluxy, it was nice. I know it's pretty late over there for you, so I'm gonna let you guys go.
It's fine, man. I'll wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning for Console Corner. No worries.
It won't be at 2 in the morning anymore for you, bro. We've got a nice thing going with the afternoon special. Okay.
That's it.
Well, it's the afternoon over here. It may not be the afternoon over there where you are, but Yeah, that's everything. Thanks for coming on the show, guys. I truly appreciate it. Once again, that's Stiles and Fluxy. You can hit up Stiles on Twitter. I think it's at Stiles.
The Rebel with it. Yeah.
Yeah, DA, right?
Yeah.
Stiles DA Rebel. Stiles the Rebel. And you can hit up Fluxy. Fluxy, what is your name on Twitter again?
It needs to be updated. It's at Revolt Fluxy.
At Revolt Fluxy. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for coming on the show, guys. Truly appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, man.
Thanks for having me, man. Take care.
No problem. Hey everyone, thanks for listening. I hope you really enjoyed it. Don't forget we have power rankings, top 5 plays, and the Console Corner show live on Twitch at twitch.tv/blueball1993. If you got any questions or comments, make sure you give them to me on Twitter at blueball1993 as well. And the podcast will be a weekly thing. Patreon members get each episode. And those who are not Patreon supporters still get 1 episode per month on the YouTube channel. Don't forget about that. First month was free for everyone. I hope you guys continue to grind Paladins, and I hope that we can all work together to make this the best community on the planet. I love you guys. Keep grinding.